one section in this that we actually spoke about well before I actually read the book was converting our mind chatter to chatter that matters. Because this is where little conversations today start. You know, that when you're lying in bed and all those, it just seems to be all those negative thoughts start popping into your brain when you're in the shower, when you're on long drives, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about mind chatter. You've got once again, we go back to the visuals that you put in your book, Rico, and they are just phenomenal. You know, you got your habit of thought meter, and where is it on the negative scale or is it on the positive scale? And we can go into so much detail. Let's talk about mind chatter.
You know,
How important is mind chatter to stay on the habit of thought meter in the positive?
well, I would perhaps, and I'd be interested in your interaction with this on this, Dan, because life is filled with mind chatter, and it's just a matter of how do we direct that mind chatter? How do we direct those little conversations that are going on in our heads? And for me, the just two choices helps me to bring me back into the present moment. I just remember that phrase and I say, okay, Rico, there are just two choices right now. Look at where your mind chatter is going, because that mind chatter is really what we use in our choices, or what we allow our choices of mind chatter to be, are what impact the next actions we're going to take. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. Yep.
And that's why I love your little conversations today. It's a home run of a thought. You know, what are the conversations we're having with ourselves? And I call it mind chatter. And bringing it back, though, I bring it into focus with the idea of there are just two choices of mind chatter. Is this mind chatter serving me well, or is it not? Which would actually go back to the tennis court example of had a whole lot of mind chatter in the past about negative things on the left side of the tennis court. I had a whole lot of mind chatter that had to do with fear. It was on the right side of the tennis court, and I wasn't being in charge of my mind chatter. I wasn't being in charge of those little conversations that were going on in my head during the day, and I was allowing that to interfere with the amount of progress that I could make, for myself. And I'm sure I was slowing myself down in terms of being able to make the progress I wanted. Why? Because when you look at, there's only so much time in a day. Let's just say I have 3 hours that I spend devoted to positive choice. If you're spending 6 hours devoted to negative choice, you're kind of counterbalancing things. You see what I'm saying? And so that's how I look at the mind chatter. It's just two choices. And I use that as a simple way of reminding myself when I get into my situations to say, man, I want to change that mind chatter. And the only person who can change the mind chatter is me, because I'm the only one who's in my head.